Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to do some work on this X590. It has been a real workhorse throughout all the summer and winter months over these past few years, and kind of had my first ever real failure with it. The lever handle, whatever, for raising and lowering the deck, or the snowblower in this case, has broken off, and it felt a little loose, and I wasn't sure what was going on. Now I know it was cracking. There's the bottom piece of it still down in there. You can still do it by lifting that rod, but it's less convenient and it wants to fall back in there. So anyway, gonna get the bottom piece out, and instead of replacing this, I'm going to try and repair it, and I'll get into that in a minute. But let's see what is required to get the other piece out and start this repair. And now I can put the hood up. The plastic piece that's left won't fit through here, but I think if we take this out, maybe it'll give us enough wiggle room to get that out. There we go. Now, what I want to do is epoxy these together and then use one of those plastic repair kits with the wires you melt in to give it more strength. Let me show you that. So I'm going to use this just to glue everything together. I don't think that's going to be strong enough to actually be a functional repair, but this will just sort of be a starting point to fill in any gaps and hold stuff together. Then I'm going to use this, which I just purchased. Been wanting to try one of these for a while. This gives me an excuse. All it is basically what amounts to a soldering iron, that heats up all these little wires that go into the tip, and you melt them right into the plastic to reinforce it. So the epoxy in this was pretty much the same price as buying a new handle. So this just gave me an excuse to go ahead and give this a try. I'll link to these in case they work out well. And check down in the description for links. And let's get going. We'll get set up where I can do this repair, and we'll take you through it, get it reinstalled, and see how well it works. Okay, start this out. I'm going to clean everything up with some alcohol. Just make sure you have good clean surfaces for the epoxy. No telling how long it's been cracked and exposed to dirt. I opened it up and it immediately started coming out, so I guess good luck trying to get equal parts. Oh, come on. Why is the black not coming out? That's way out of proportion. Let's see if I can maybe start over, move all this over. Actually, it's not too bad, I don't think. So we'll just mix this up. And go ahead, start applying this. Put some on this side too. Oops. This is a pretty clean brake, so it's not a lot for it to hold on to. It wants to slide if I put any pressure on it. So this is part of why I want to use the metal reinforcement. I don't think this is going to exactly hold for strength. I think it'll work fine for just tacking things together. But let's try and get rid of anything here that's proud, because this needs to travel up and down in that slot. I'm going to probably have to file it at the end. But okay, so I'm going to let that dry. It's supposed to set up in a half hour, actually less. I think it sets up in 15 minutes and you can sand it in an hour. Yeah, it sets in 15, cures in a half an hour. So we'll let that do its thing, and then we'll come back and complete the repair. So while we let that cure, figure I can just show this real quick. This particular kit I got off Amazon comes with 1,000 pieces of wire, and what they are like this for like a straight flat piece of plastic that you want to put together. You got some that are exterior corners, and they have some for interior corners. And what you're doing is you just slide the wire into the end of the gun. It'll pass current through it, heat it up, and then you push it into the plastic, melt it in, and, so it's embedded, and then you just pull it back out after it, this has a trigger, so you heat it up, push it in, let off the trigger, let it cool for a second, and then when you pull, this will stay behind. And then this kit also came with a pair of side cutters, so you can just come in and snip off the ends to make them flush. For whatever reason, this also came with a knife. I'm not sure what you're going to do with that in this repair, but maybe just rough up the plastic a little. Maybe that's what they're thinking. Anyway, there's lots and lots of pieces, so you should be good for your entire life, unless you're repairing plastic constantly. So that's what it is. Like I said, if this works out and you want to get one, they're all over Amazon. I'll link to this one in particular, and you can go from there. All right, so we are back. This has been drying for a little over an hour. Still slightly tacky, but that's probably because the ratio of the epoxy didn't come out quite right. I was having trouble with that, but it's good enough for now. You can see I put a rubber band around it to kind of help keep it compacted, to help keep it tight together as it's set up. Moved out to the garage so I don't fill my house with smoke from plastic. And what we're going to do, I already have one of the wider straight pieces in. I'm going to heat it up and try and sink it right down into here. Actually, let's start on this side where I have clear access. You know, the brake is right along the top of the epoxy there. Actually, hard to see now. But anyway, this is big enough. It'll go right over it, and that's almost the perfect width for this. So, squeeze the trigger. And it's starting to smoke, so let's set it in. I think that's probably good enough, I hope. Let the trigger go and give it a minute to cool down. And then there we go. Now you can see it burned itself in there. I think I'll come back and fill that with epoxy as well. That'll probably help seal it up even further. I might have gone a little deep on that one. First one. So anyway, let's try a few more on the other side. And the only slightly annoying thing is they're all jumbled up in these little bags. Let's see. Yeah, I think that'll be about right. There you go. I got room to sink one more in there, I believe. If I can get these untangled. Oh, come on. It's like a puzzle. Oh, okay. Trying to keep it away from the other one. That's probably about right there. And now I'll get a corner piece. If I can find one. Let's We'll be sinking that in like that. And Let's see if no, that won't work there. It's not 90 degrees. There are some really thin straight ones. Yeah, let's try these. Probably doing this overkill, but I don't want it to fail. And give it all the support it can have. Yeah, so that one. Yeah, so this little thin straight one should go on those sides pretty good. And then one more, and we will call it done. Where'd they go? Alright, so now it looks like pinhead, but they're all there. This claims that you can break them off by hand. Yeah, I don't see that happening. See if these are any good. Yeah, it worked. It's not exactly easy, but it works. I'll find these all over my garage for years to come. I can't get at that one. Yeah, these are so cheap. They're getting damaged. Oh well. I didn't buy it for this. There you go. Now, pressing my luck by pulling it already, but it seems pretty good. Let's see if these little cheapy Harbor Freight ones do any better. Oh yeah, these are way better. So don't buy it for these. They're absolute trash. All right, well, I think that's pretty good. I'm going to come over and grind these down a little bit, or file them down. Got to go get a file, but anyway, that's pretty successful. I'll sand it down. I'm going to backfill these grooves in with epoxy to give it just that extra bit of support and kind of seal it up from any water and rust and all that. And then we'll get it back on the mower. Alright, that is nice and smooth because this has to slide in and out of that plastic and I don't want anything getting caught up on it. And now I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to fill in the grooves with a little bit more of epoxy, and then we'll get it installed again. Okay, so I've let it cure for a while. Not really tacky anymore. You know, it's not super smooth, but good enough. And let's get it back on the track. Okay. Now the trick, I think, it's the first time I've ever tried to install this, is going to be to push this all the way back in until you reach the bend and then pivot this down to get it latched in. So let's see if we can do that. Yeah. Just doesn't quite want to turn the corner. Oh, there it goes. All right, it's a little fiddly, but it works. And this seems to be lifting it up and retaining it. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the plastic back together. Making sure everything is lined up best as it can be. All right, and it's back together. So those plastic welding kits, we'll see how long it lasts, but it seemed like they'd be pretty good, and I think it may be. There's a fair amount of stress on this when you lift it up. Right now, since this hasn't even had 24 hours, I'm still lifting it up under the rod just to make sure, but I think all those pieces of metal will strengthen it up in combination with the epoxy. So if it breaks, I'll add a comment that says it broke and it's no good, but as it is, you know, I invested about the same amount to get repair supplies as it would have been to get a new lever there, and so we'll see how it goes, but I hope this helps somebody, and a link to everything in the description like I said, and until next time, take care. Alright, so quick follow-up. I was just out snowblowing, and about halfway through I went to push down and it just like fell apart, and I thought it had actually broken, but it's still in one piece. All that happened was it came off the rod. So I kind of pushed everything back together And then I lifted up the rod, or the lever, and I don't know if this is going to show there. Maybe you can see that the little bit of silver right there, that is the rod. So if I had both hands free, I could show you for sure, but once it's all together, lift up lift this up, and then get a screwdriver down behind that rod, and right at the top where the elbow is, get right behind that and pry it in, and maybe even just push instead of prying against plastic, but really push it inward to try and seat that. And when I did that, it moved in a good little bit further, and then I went down and I did it again to try and get it really seated into the lower part as well. Since doing that, it's been solid. It hasn't wanted to come out. So just a quick follow-up note in case that happens to you as well. Get behind it and get a little bit of pressure to push it in there. If there's some better way of doing it, I'll go do some research, and if there is a better way of doing it, it'll be in text on the screen right now, but I leave it with that for now, and hope this helps somebody, and everybody have a good winter. Talk to you later.